Hello, friends. Welcome back to Trending. Today's Thursday, March 21st, about 9:30. Good morning, Joe.
Salutations, Matthew. How are you?
Good. Doing good. We had to skip last week. I was out sick. A lot of people are on spring break, so hopefully you didn't even miss. But I was not feeling great last week, but full recovery, doing good now.
I could tell on your text language, like you were like straight to the point, like no, warm fuzzies. It was just, can't make it.
Yeah, I was sick. I slept all day last Thursday, that never happens. I was just out, but I'm back. So
All right, man. Welcome back.
Thank you. Hope you all had a great spring break. And we haven't done this in a while. If people are kind of new, the goal of this whole thing is just try to take in something that's happening in news, pop culture world, and roll in our faith perspective wherever we can. So we tackle all kinds of things. We've all kinds of stories and headlines we've gone through over the few years we've been doing this. But
it's almost like we're challenging ourselves to find the most odd thing and see if we can't land it within Christianity.
Yes. I've got one for you today.
Okay.
We'll see how this goes.
The next chapter. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So last week, I believe, a friend of the show, Justin Timberlake, had a new album release. And so Everything I Thought It Was is his new album.
Okay.
So I mentioned to you this morning, I like Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, me too.
I remember when especially his 2020 Part 1 album, it had like Suit and Tie, Mirrors. That whole album I thought was just really, really good. I really liked that album and a lot of what he's put out since then. Mm-hmm. So I was excited when he had a new album come out. It's kind of fun. My girls liked him because he's featured on all the Trolls soundtracks.
Oh, that's right.
And so my girl, they don't know who he is, but they like a lot of his songs from the Trolls soundtrack. So anyway, we have some JT at our house.
That's right. Yeah.
So yesterday I was out. Wednesdays are my day off, so I was home yesterday working on some yard stuff, and I was listening to the new album, and it just hit me. It's a pretty long album. I think there's like 15, 18 tracks, something like that, and pretty much all of them are about like going out to the dance floor to party. A lot of them are pretty sexual, like pretty blatantly sexual, some pretty explicitly sexual. And I just remember as I was listening to it, I was thinking, man, like how old is Justin Timberlake? I was just kind of, because it sounds like the kind of album you'd expect from like a college student. Like that's the kind of language he's using, right?
Right.
JT's 43.
Okay.
He's been married for, I think, 15 years, something like that. He and Jessica Biel have 2 kids. So he's square in the dad zone, right?
Yeah.
Like he is right there into middle adult life, right? And it just kind of hit me like, man, this guy, I was doing a little bit of research this morning. I don't know if anybody's won as many awards as he has in my lifetime. Like Grammys, he's on SNL all the time. He's won some like Lifetime Achievement Award type stuff because he's a very influential person. He's been in 5 or 6 pretty big movie franchises. Like he's one of the biggest stars alive today.
He's like Jimmy Fallon's buddy.
Yes, he and Jimmy are good
He's
friends.
always like playing golf with celebrities and athletes.
Yes, he's always like in the cultural zeitgeist, as you will.
Yes, good German.
Yes. But, and again, I like his music. I can't vouch for his lyrics. The lyrics are not great, but honestly, as I was listening to it, I kind of felt bad for him.
Yeah. Because
he kind of seems to be stuck in this kind of mid-20s party scene, chasing after girls and going to parties all night, and just some of the language. I'm like, dude, you've got I think his oldest kid's 8. I'm like, this isn't what you should be doing in this stage of your life, right?
Yeah, are they having like a family listen? Like they're putting on the new album. Like, come on, kids.
And there's part of me that's like, how old was his dad when he started NSYNC? Like he's kind of coming to that point,
Right.
So there's part of me that's just like, man, Justin, like there's more to life than this. Like, why are you still pursuing this? Or if you're not really pursuing that, does he feel a weird pressure to still portray this image? Or it just felt weird. It felt like a 43-year-old putting out a 20-year-old's album as I was listening to it. And we've talked before about like our culture glorifies youth, and there's kind of this people who are 20s and maybe 30s are kind of elevated in culture. So again, I'm kind of tossing a lot at you here, but why does culture continue to glorify youth? Why might Justin kind of feel caught in that? And what would you say to our friend JT? I'm sure he's watching.
Yeah.
He's got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Today.
Please don't feel judged, Justin. We love you, man.
He's justified. What would you say to our friend today?
There's maybe 2 layers to this. Layer 1 is just him as a person, as a entertainer, artist. And then I think the larger question of this seems to be probably not unique to American life, but maybe in the human experience, how could we not let father time, mother time catch up with us, and how can we extend our days?
Yeah.
That might be where like the ancient audience of the Bible is grappling with that.
Yeah.
Even though there had to have been some celebrity type stuff that the New Testament church was probably dealing with. And you see Paul doing kind of a contrarian move, particularly in his letters to the Corinthian church. But we can leave that. That's kind of a long, nerdier conversation.
Okay.
But I think, Timberlake was obviously like a prodigy as a musician and entertainer. Probably had, just penchant towards charisma early on, right?
Yeah.
And so, you got one shot, one opportunity.
That's a different young pop star. Not pop star.
And so you got to make the most of it. And it seemed like his best opening was, club mix music. It was the boy band era, and then him as a solo artist. And so I think you have to kind of roll with that. And I think after a certain amount of achievement, an artist needs to make a decision. Can I maybe rebrand myself and do some things that I am particularly interested in, or is it still expedient to continue to do the same thing? When you first told me the story, I thought about that Charlie Chaplin old wives' tale where he would, for a couple of years, put himself in Charlie Chaplin look-alike contests all over the country.
Okay.
And the best that he ever got was third place. Like, he's like the real guy. But I think the idea of who he was morphed into something beyond him. And I think sometimes as an entertainer, there's a temptation to say, if this has been working and if my career is running out at some level, like I got to make the most of my time that I have left. So why don't we just continue to do the same thing? Kind of put that next to like someone like Taylor Swift, who she moved on from beyond like her earlier success or earlier image. Her lyrics got more complex. I mean, I think we mentioned it on one episode of Trending. She used the word mercurial, like what pop artist would dare, to use a word like that and still assume that they're going to be popular, right? But she seemed to have more of an incentive to be herself, even if that meant she's like a different image or type than she was early on. Like that's a gamble, right? Like who knows if you're still going to be liked and accepted at the rate you were beforehand if you could truly reinvent yourself, right? And so I just think Timberlake made this calculation. It'd be best to continue to be the same guy and see if I can't pull it off. See if I can't still go to the well once again and do the same stuff.
Yeah.
Sell records, earn money, and still have a place in the recording industry, right?
Yeah.
And so I just think that might be now we're not going to be at the same level as Timberlake in the music industry and entertainment, but I think the same thing is maybe ever present for us as individuals. Like, do I need to continue the same thing? And is it episode after episode of my life, is it going to have the same type of furniture and its same, standard lines? Or is there a chance for me to diversify my life and to be something else? I thought of a friend of mine who had a great business career for the first half of his professional career. And he took a stab at doing ministry work. And I think he was good at it. I don't think he was as interested in it as he thought he would be. So he took a different job in a different industry, and he's doing well. But like, if you look at if you were to like bump into somebody that he went to like MBA school with, and if they were like filling each other in on what they were doing, some of his peers would be surprised that he's like taken the direction that he has. But like, I think he wanted to continue to bet on himself and to follow his own interests. And to, no matter what the company was or the industry was, he wanted to, use the gifts and skills that he gained along the way and kind of do stuff he wanted to do. I think he would say he's had a delightful career because he's been able to kind of take some chances on some new things.
No, that's good. And I think we've kind of hit on this a little bit before, but so Chili and I like watching Jimmy Fallon, or we kind of keep an eye on those talk shows. They're just kind of fun for us to watch. And every once in a while we've noticed it a few times, where there's an older celebrity, and every once in a while one pops up. We're like, okay, maybe they've gained a few pounds. Maybe they don't look as good as they did 20 years ago, which who does, right? But whenever that happens, when someone has visibly aged and they seem to embrace that, Tilly and I notice it and we respect it. Because there's kind of like, man, they're okay with who they are. They don't feel this pressure
Yeah.
to look. They're in their 60s and they don't feel pressure to look 25
Yeah.
like a lot of people do. So whenever there's kind of that exception where someone seems to just embrace, like, we're all getting older, we're all aging, we're all changing. And I think whenever there's a pop culture figure who doesn't or just embraces that, I respect it.
Yeah.
And so I guess for all of us, since again we're all kind of in that boat at various levels, and again I don't know if Justin's really wrestling with that or not, but it seems like maybe he's kind of having a hesitation to embrace that he is a 43-year-old dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have any advice for people who maybe are in a similar boat? Like if you are recognizing that you're at a stage that's different from where you were, how can we learn to accept that and be healthy instead of trying to feel forced to change? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I mean, I think the ancient audience looking at, I think if we were to read Genesis 1 through 11 in a heap, we would see this theme. And I think the ancient audience would have heard it. Like, one of the common themes of that section of scripture is human beings, we get ourselves in trouble when we extend beyond our boundary. Adam and Eve did that in the garden. Like, all these things you can eat from, but this one tree, like, just leave it alone. And what did they do? Like, there's only one tree that exists now. I've got to reach beyond my boundary, right? And we have this weird line of how the daughters of men had relations with the sons of God, and like how that caused great calamity in the earth. And probably the most vivid expression of this is this Tower of Babel story in Genesis 11, where they're trying to build a tower so high that they're like, pushing God out and boxing God out from creation. And so we got this theme again and again of extending beyond our boundary. And I think that we see that maybe in some practical ways, even in our culture, when it comes to trying to stay young, that at some point it's just not attainable. Like, it's just not sustainable. And it is something that catches us off guard. Like, this is like something is not right about this, because you are seeming to prize youthfulness over this legacy building, the golden years of life later in life, where there's another project to do there. And so some of our spiritual thinkers talk about like two mountains. So David Brooks, who's a op-ed writer for the New York Times, but he's widely looked at as someone who bestows wisdom, great books out there. He's got this book called The Second Mountain, where he's trying to tell his peers, like, he's a boomer, and the boomer age, like, hey, like, the first mountain of your life is like you're building your career, you're building like a legacy of some sort.
Yeah.
The second mountain is now giving it away and bestowing wisdom to the next generation, and trying to create a better world than the one that you inherited when you came into adulthood. And so he talks about that. Richard Rohr's got a book called Falling Upward, where he talks about the first half of life, the second half of life. And we kind of see this vividly if you were to read like Proverbs in one sitting and then Ecclesiastes in one sitting.
Okay.
You would sense this like performance-driven model in Proverbs. Like, if you apply yourself to these things, you're going to get ahead. If you fail to do these things, you're going to fall behind, and like ruin and calamity come to your life. Well, where Ecclesiastes is like, yeah, man, I've like almost like Kohelet, which is the Hebrew word for the teacher. He's done all those things, and he's kind of got these scars from living life in the performance track. And he's like, at the end of the day, like, when it comes down to it, like, following the commands, enjoying community with loved ones seems to be the most noble feature of life. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but like, Twitter used to have a handle called Proverbs Daily, and they would like drop a proverb. And so I had an Ecclesiastes Daily Twitter that I was so I would like wait for the proverb thing, and then I would like try to find a corresponding, almost like a leverage point or like a contrarian idea, because we see, and they're like, what's neat is that they're like next door to one another in the Old Testament. They're kind of shouting at each other. I think it's because what the scripture is trying to convey, maybe in a long form narrative way, is sure, the first half of life, like, do all that you can, expend yourself, but it runs out, and that's okay. Like, it's maybe by design. So then spend the rest of those days when it dawns upon you to like turn around, to help open doors for young people, help provide spaces for them to thrive. You give away the keys, and enjoy like maybe a slow passing of days, and the wisdom feature of life, which is not just to live life on performance track, but to live life a little more skillfully. And that usually means gathering your community around you, and going to every soccer game, flag football game, piano recital that you can, and be there to cheer them on, and to just relish like the very calm, common moments. And don't worry about the scoreboard. The scoreboard's unplugged. Like, and the time's out. Okay, whatever. Like, I just want to live life in a way that kind of builds community and builds loving kindness in the world, instead of like trying to find my space and box everyone out so they don't rival me.
Yeah.
Which seems to be kind of the curriculum for the first half of life.
Yeah, that's good. Kind of last question, I'll get you out of here in this.
Sure. Yep.
One thing I know you're really good at, you've got a handful of like, I don't know if they're daily or weekly or monthly, but you've got kind of these practices that kind of give you some guidance in your life. I think you're good at that. So if someone, again, is whatever stage of life they're in, but they're in this stage where they're recognizing either they're aging or they've entered into a season, or maybe they're holding on to their past, or maybe they're afraid to take a new responsibility, that just kind of wrestling with time, embracing the stage that they're in. I think we all have that to varying degrees. We've talked a lot before about just gratitude and thankfulness. I think that kind of helps you stay grounded in whatever season you're in. But do you have any other advice for how can we make the most of where we're at, not look back, not feel pressure to go back, but be content, maybe look forward? Do you have any other practices or ideas to help us stay grounded in that?
So I think it would probably depend on where somebody is. I got this neat little thing that was handed to me during my doctor of ministry program about the two pathways of the soul, masculine soul, the feminine soul. Not exact science, but like general twists and turns that those different souls take over a given lifetime. Mm-hmm. But I think if someone is kind of if they'd say they're in their second or their third act of life, I would like truly say something that Bob Goff talks about. He has this practice where he asks people to quit something every Thursday. I just think what gets in our way the most is we just have a pretty cluttered life. Like we start some projects that we'd really like to do, really passionate about it. I just think the older we get, the more it dawns upon us, if we're honest, like we can't achieve everything that we've got interest in. Yeah. So what if we winnowed down to just a couple of projects, maybe 3 if we've got a higher quotient of administration skills and stuff. Yeah, we've got a penchant of really starting and completing things that we truly want to set out to do. And to say, I want to take care of these things. What things rise to the top? And just truly work on those things. And so I think it would be winnowing away some things that are good. Yeah. But maybe we got to put them to the side. This is something that the writer of Hebrews says in Hebrews 12, throwing off the sin and the weight that easily encumbers us. And I love that image there, which is there are sin, negative things that get in our way, but there are also some things that we just carry that are good things, or just neutral things. They can weigh us down. Yeah. And they got to get away from the most important things. So maybe offloading a couple of those things. Yeah. So that we can have a little more agility to the a couple of things that we know that we want to do by the end. And I think I would something that Don Miller, our friend of the show, would say is go ahead and write your own eulogy. What's your desired endpoint? Yeah. What do you want people to say about you? And maybe what we need to do then is to do those things, concentrate on those things, so that when our loved ones are gathering our story at the end, it's quite apparent what we valued. It wasn't some hidden thing. Right. If we want to value legacy making or traveling with our spouse, we got to go do that. Because we can't claim that was important to us if we never did it. Right. Yeah. And so I love that practice of saying it might be kind of morbid at first, but writing our own eulogy down. Yeah. And then working back from that, saying, okay, if I want that to be said of me at the end, I got to start doing something about it today. Yeah. And then I got to start planning months from now, still working on those things and so on and so forth. So I would say offload some unnecessary things. Yeah. Really get focused, and then keep it in front of us. And I think that we might live this second or third act of our life with excellency because we really got focused and we really buckled down to do it.
Yeah, that's good. One thing we talk a lot about here is authenticity, right? With the whole real people thing. And that's part of what I wonder, going back to JT, we'll wrap it up here. But I think when he was at his peak, at least in my opinion, it was when he was writing songs that were really good love songs to his wife. Mirrors is one of my favorite songs. It's a well written song where it talks about how his wife is like a mirror reflecting back to him. And I think there's part of me that wishes he felt the freedom to just write about his experiences now. I'd love to hear a song about Justin Timberlake talking about being a dad, what it's like for him to have an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old, and what's it like to go through life as a dad instead of this pressure to still be this party boy. Yeah. Show us who you really are. What's it like for you to be a dad in today's culture? I'd love to hear a song about that. Yeah. We've already heard the party stuff. Yes. Be true to yourself. What are you doing now? And tell us about that. So maybe that's, for me, I wonder if that's part of it too. It's just embracing where you're at.
Yeah.
And just being real about it.
Yeah, being real and vulnerable comes with great risk.
Yeah.
Because if people reject you on those terms,
Yeah.
like that hurts, right?
Right.
Now, people can reject him as a performer, but he's like, you know what? Whatever. Like, there's plenty of people buying records. There's still a buoyancy in what I'm doing. There's still a legitimacy. But, like, man, to be rejected on your own, the most honest terms of who you are, like, that's tough.
Yeah.
It'd be tough for any of us, not just someone as popular as him. And so, yes, it comes with the risk. But I think when you are embraced in the midst of, like, the rawness of who you are, even in your ugliness, like, I think that's where love abounds, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what's one of the neat features of the heart of the gospel. Something that our friend Chris Tomlin said years ago during like the heyday of the Passion Movement. God knows the depths of our heart, and He loves us the same. Yeah. That's the good stuff,
right?
But man, is it the roll of the dice to meet somebody there?
Yeah.
And I hope that along the way, Justin can meet some people there.
Yeah,
because that would be a good experience.
Agreed. Well, Justin, I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching with Justin Timberlake. Thanks to you for watching and listening. Hey, Easter season. Yeah. We got Palm Sunday, Good Friday, Easter. There's a lot happening around here, but it's good stuff. We'd love to have you with us next week with several of these special services. Yeah, there's like one spot on the website. You can get all the details. Yep. We'd love to see you around and celebrate with us. It's going to be a good couple weeks ahead. Yeah, it'll be good. Hope to see you around. Yep. See you next time. See ya.